Hello, this is David White from Sportsman's Emporium, and I'm basically today going to talk about a little bit of sighting your bow and tips. Not everybody has time to come into a shop like Sportsman's Emporium and get us to work on your bow and sight in your bow. And there tends to be a common question: how do I sight in my bow? Well, that's really easy. A lot of the advanced shooters, you already know how because you've been doing it your whole life. But the thing is archery's growing. It's especially growing for young people. There's more people than ever who are getting into this as a total beginner. And I'm just going to give you a few little sight-in points. There's a few things that you pretty much have to have a bow shop do for you. And that is really to get your rest set and leveled, and to set your center shot so that when your arrow's knocked on here, it's not angled one way, left or right, coming off of your bow. That's something that we would do for you because we have the tools to make that easy. But when it comes to sighting in your bow and mounting your sight, it's really easy to sight in your bow. At the most, the only tools you would ever really need are Allen wrenches. And on certain sights like this one, you don't even need an Allen wrench once you have it mounted. I think that the biggest thing, and this is what I always see when somebody's sighting in their bow for the first time and they've never really tried it before, they want to move the pins the opposite way that it should go. Like if you're shooting high, your natural reaction is to move your pin low. But the thing is that's not actually how it works. If you move your pin low, you're going to shoot higher. You actually want to follow your arrow with your sight pin. It's really easy. If I'm shooting my bow and I'm shooting high and to the left, I'm actually going to move this housing high and to the left. And the thing is your left and right is called your windage. And that, in my opinion, is the best one to get in first. If I were going to sight this bow in, I would start at 10 yards. And I would basically shoot my target and I would move my pins to the left or right until I got myself where I was hitting towards the center. I wouldn't even worry if I was shooting high or low at first. I would set my windage first because that really, and if you do everything in that order, in the right protocol, it all comes out better at the end. So set your windage first. Like I say, if you're shooting left, you want to move your pins left. To move your pins, on my bow it's really easy. Normally you would need an Allen wrench to loosen this, but this sight is going to clamp down. This little frame right here is going to clamp down on this. And this is your sight, basically the main part of your sight. When I loosen its pressure, it enables me to move this to the left or right. Now, I have a thumb tightener, which makes it really easy. But some of the more entry-level sights don't have that. You actually have to take an Allen wrench and loosen the tension on that, and then move it left or right. So really, that's all there is to it. I have marks on here that enable me to keep track of how far I'm moving it. And you'll get used to how many spaces it takes to move a certain distance. Every one of them's a little bit different on that. And some of them actually have a thumb adjust where you just twist this knob and it moves it to the left or right for you. You don't actually have to physically bump it over. But it's really the same thing for the up and down. Once I've got my left or right, like I say, if I'm shooting to the left, I'm going to move this whole housing to the left. If my arrow is shooting to the right of where I'm aiming, I want to move the whole housing to the right. Once I've got my windage in, then I start to work on my up and down. It's the same thing. That's the same tightener that keeps tension on this, which enables this sight housing to slide up and down. Now mine has a thumb adjust, so if I tighten it, then it's going to move it up, and loosen it, it's going to move it down. If you don't have that, you just keep track of those lines. There's going to be little marker lines, and just move it up physically with your hand. Just bump it up a little bit and tighten it. A lot of times, if you don't have the thumb adjusting, you'll have to lay the bow down on a table or something like that. But it's really easy to do this. And you don't always have to bring it into a bow expert to do something like sight it in. If you need, if you're out there and you need to move it, like I say, when you get a bow and you get a sight, find out what Allen wrench loosens up your sight housing, keep it in a little kit. It's really easy. If your bow comes out of sight and you're on a trip or something like that, you always have that Allen wrench you can sight your bow in. Just remember, follow your arrow with your sight pins and try to set your windage, which is your left and right, first. Once you have your windage set, the up and down is much easier, and everything zeroes in the end a lot better if you set your windage first, especially on certain sights. But that's really all there is to it. I just wanted to talk about just the basics, you know, for a beginner of how to sight your bow in. Just remember, once your bow shop has set up your rest and it's got your everything square, your center shot is good, your peep sight's in and everything else, put on that sight, take it home. If you have a place to shoot, take that first shot at 10 yards, and wherever it is from there, start to move the left and right, and then do your up and down, and that's it. It's really as simple as that. Just follow your arrow.